right, good morning. For the record, it is March 17th, 2026, and we are convening the regular semi-annual meeting of the Capital Improvements Advisory Committee, and it is 9:02 a.m. When I call your name, please say present or here. Chairperson Chris Weigand,
Present.
Vice Chairperson Gary Miller,
Present.
Committee Member Joe DeCola,
Present.
Harold Prasadek, Kyle Grothius,
Present.
John Arevalos is not present. Marcus Garcia,
Present.
Ben Kerner,
Present.
and Jamin Kazarian.
Present.
Okay, and Mr. Arevalos, welcome. Good morning. There is a seat right here for you next to Marcus. With all members present, a quorum is declared.
All right, thanks for everyone for showing up today. We've got the citizens and guest forum section, so the committee will now hear from anyone who has signed up to speak during citizens to be heard. Those wishing to speak may choose to do so at the citizens and guest forum or alternatively during the specific agenda item. If you do choose to speak at any time during the meeting, we ask that you do so from the podium so that they can capture any audio. I believe we don't have anyone signed up today, so we'll go on to the next section. I think it's the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered routine and will be approved by a single motion unless members request items to be removed for separate discussion. So we had the meeting minutes in your handouts there, so we can get a motion to approve last meeting's minutes.
One small correction. It shows that I was absent, but I was about 10 minutes late, so I think they just didn't catch me in roll call. And this is Dave Turner.
All right, Ben. Put that in my notes here.
So we will make that correction, and you can take a motion to
Approve as amended.
approve as amended, correct?
Move that the minutes are accepted pending the correction.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Next section, I think, is going to be an update on the impact fee capital projects from Grant and staff. Grant, there you are. Do you want to, just to give a heads up, I think we have reduced some of the projects just to focus on impact fee projects as of now. So you'll see a couple less projects than we're used to seeing, but all of these are impact fee related projects, correct? All right.
Thank you, Mr. Weigand. Starting, I guess this is page 8 of the agenda packet. So the city first adopted impact fees in 1999, has periodically updated them generally every 5 years. Here you can see a list of the impact fee eligible projects that was included in each update, how much has been collected and how much has been spent toward those projects. Generally, impact fees are assessed based on the rates that are in effect when a plat is recorded, and then those impact fees are collected whenever a builder pulls a building permit to develop that lot. And I say in general because we do have quite a few water supply agreements or utility supply agreements that kind of modify that arrangement. So there hasn't been any changes to the numbers on page 18, so I'll skip over to page 9. Page 9 was our 2020 impact fees. Toward the bottom, you can see the allowable cost limit per the study, and this is the total amount that could be potentially collected if projected growth was realized. That was 17.8 million. The impact fees actually collected is 1.44 million, and this is a change from 1.38 million in the last meeting. Some of these funds have been used toward a couple of the projects in the study. We'll talk about the project number 2, which is the 500,000 gallon Zone A elevated storage tank later in the agenda. Project D, which was the 2020 impact fee study, that was what initiated this update. Project number 1, the 9,000 gallon Plant 2 hydropneumatic tank, that project's already been completed. And then project 5, which is Here it's shown as a combined project. It's a 4,000 GPM Plant 5 pump station expansion and a 500,000 gallon ground storage tank. As we move into the 2025 impact fee, you see that we've broken that out into two portions. One is the pump station expansion and the other is the ground storage tank. We'll hear more about that one later in the agenda as well. Moving on to page 10. Again, this is the most recent 2025 impact fees that were adopted August of last year. And there's some new projects added in this 2025 update, particularly project number 1. It's listed here as a 12-inch Corley track line. We've been calling it the Dietz Elkhorn water line. Maybe we'll adjust that in the future. It kind of aligns with what we're talking about or referring to. And the project number 2 is the 500,000 gallon Plant 5 ground storage tank. Project number 3 was the 500,000 gallon elevated storage tank. Project 6, it's called here a 12-inch West Ammon Road water line, but this, among staff, we're calling this the GBRA main extension. And one of the other projects we might see movement on in the next year is also project number 8, which is pressure reducing valves at Rolling Acres Trail and Meadow Creek Trail. This project is already designed by our elevated storage tank consultant, and the intent here is to just project as a bid alternate on the elevated storage tank. Looking at the bottom of this page, again, the total amount that could potentially be collected if the projected growth is realized is $31.8 million. The actual amount collected to date is 0. We expect that to start increasing once. The next page just shows a map of our impact fee eligible projects. These are all of our water CIP projects, and I'll quickly point out the ones I mentioned previously. Project number 1, kind of toward the bottom third of the map, is the Dietz Elkhorn water line project, a 12-inch water line from our Elmo Davis water plant to the eastern side of our city. Project number 2 is on the west side of the map, or the left side of the map. That's the Plant 5 ground storage tank, 500,000 gallon. Project number 3 is toward the upper side of the map. That's our 500,000 gallon Zone A elevated storage tank. Some others I mentioned is project number 6. It's kind of near the elevated storage tank, but that's the GBRA water main extension. And project number 8, it's on Rolling Acres Trail. That's a pressure reducing valve, and that's going to help.
On number 6, have y'all thought about also doing alternate bids for, or throwing that in as an alternate for the Almond Road expansion? Or the timing doesn't work?
We would, but the city of Bernie is I guess the design and construction agent. They're overseeing that project, not city staff, so it's kind of. We'll talk more about that project because it's going to be a shared project between the city of Faro. Bernie's need is more immediate than our cities, and they decided or we let them, and we discussed that they would take the lead on designing this project and constructing this project. Okay. Did anybody have any questions on the water CIP projects before I move on to wastewater? Okay. Moving on to page 12. Again, this is the list of impact fee eligible projects on the wastewater side, along with how much has been collected and spent toward each of those projects. There has not been any changes on page 12. And there hasn't been any changes to the numbers on page 13 either, but I do want to mention that you'll notice the list of impact fee eligible projects has been significantly decreased. 2020 impact fees down to the 2025 impact fees, and that's because the majority of those projects in 2020 were related to the construction of a new wastewater treatment plant, and all of the gravity and force mains needed to direct wastewater to the new wastewater treatment plant, but that's no longer the direction that the city is going. We are now expanding our existing wastewater build-out condition, and doing so reduce the number of CIP projects significantly. We'll talk about Project eight, number 1, which is the 8-inch gravity line and decommissioned sewer lift station. We'll talk about the expansion of that. Project number 2 is expansion of the wastewater treatment plant. And we'll also talk about, just briefly, some of the other 2 wastewater projects, since those are projects that's going to be undertaken by the core developer under their utility service. On the next page, you can see the map of our wastewater CIP projects. The ones that the city is responsible for is project number 1. That's the decommissioned Falls Lift Station and installed gravity line. And then project number 2, that's expansion of our existing wastewater. Mr. Weigand, that concludes the impact fee capital improvement project summary.
Just for our own knowledge, on the sewer impact fees collected, it looks like we have a net positive, just like balance of those impact fees on projects from previous years. Is that correct?
It does look like that way. That's correct.
Okay. That was it.
If there's no further questions, then I'll move into some of the project-specific updates, starting with our elevated storage tank. Again, this project constructs a 500,000 gallon elevated storage tank to improve our water supply and pressure to the peak demand, provide fire protection, and then reserve capacity during extended power outages. You can see kind of the inset map to the right. The location is a 3-acre parcel to the north of the city. Our consultant provided a preliminary site layout, and what's proposed under this project is kind of color-coded in red. It's our elevated storage tank. It's that circular shape there, along with some access roads and then a detention pond. The blue on the map represents GBRA delivery point and meter. The orange represents some space for potential future facilities. So at this point, the land acquisition, annexation, and zoning have been completed. The redesign effort was initiated in December, and we're expecting final design in the October timeframe, which would allow us to put out the project for bid at that time. Have some bid alternates on this project, specifically the valves on Meadow Creek Trail, and I think there's another project that would allow us to interconnect large.
So Grant, this is adjacent to the current Bernie project? So it's actually to the west of it?
It's actually to the south of it. You can see a portion of the Bernie's improvements just to the north of our 3-acre site.
Okay.
That's their detention pond, and then I think they have a 1 million gallon ground storage tank that they're building that's
Right
even
now, yeah.
further north, but it's still.
So is there any agreement for a cross-connect or any plan that if one system is to shuttle water back and forth if needed in an emergency?
We are working on an interlocal agreement with the city of Bernie, but that's primarily for the design and construction of the water main extension. Once it gets to this site, then it'll branch off to Bernie's water plant, and then it'll branch off to our site.
Right, but what I'm asking is, say something happens and we're not able to get water, is there any ability to share water between these 2 storage tanks?
That hasn't been discussed before.
Okay.
We have that in Cedar Front Gateway.
Oh, you're referring to the SAWS interconnect? That project, yes, we will, in a couple months, have an interconnect to be used on an emergency basis with SAWS. That's planned on Fair Oaks Parkway near Frost Bank.
I guess follow up to his question, should we have it up here in the north?
part of the current project, but maybe something in the future.
I guess they're both taking water from the same line. It's the
Yeah,
same
but-
source. I don't know if,
If one were empty, they'd both be empty.
yeah, if Bernie's in to build a line, larger line to bring water to this source and distribute to the rest of the city, but I believe their plant is primarily driven by development. Well, or one development in particular. Might help, I guess, if we had an issue with the plant, but we have an elevated storage tank, so if anybody's gonna take water, they're probably gonna take it, because they have a ground storage tank. But in the future, I guess it could go both ways.
Moving on to the next project, which is the GBRA water main extension. This project extends the GBR water main from Ammon Road, the east-west leg of Ammon Road, to the shared elevated storage tank and Bernie pump station site. We're currently working on an interlocal agreement with the city of Bernie to share the cost of design and construction. We're expecting to take that to city council for approval next month. But if that's approved, then based on the share of water to be taken from this new line, we're expecting it to be a 16. Our share of the cost, based on the water we would take, is 31% of the project, and then the city of Bernie more water from this new line, and they would pay 69% cost of the project. The location of this new line would be on the side of Ammon Road, and then once it gets up north, it would cross under Ammon Road.
So it's outside the right of way.
Outside the right of way. The total cost for this project is expected to be 31% of 2 million is within what the city has budgeted. Budget for the city is 750,000, and our 31% share of that falls below the 750,000.
A good win.
Moving on to the next project. This one is the Dietz Elkhorn water line. This water line would extend water service to the eastern part of the city, and under a utility service agreement with the Corley Tract developer, the city will pay 75% of the cost, and the developer will pay 25%. The line is sized to serve not only the Corley Tract, the entirety of the Corley Tract, but also all of the undeveloped parcels on the eastern side. We're currently at 90% design, and we're expecting to receive final design in the April timeframe, which will allow us to put it out for bid and hopefully start construction this summer. And the project will be joint bid with the Dietz Elkhorn roadway reconstruction project to ensure that we don't have to tear up the road.
Grant, is the timing of this project in conjunction with not only the Dietz Elkhorn Road project, but the need for water on the east side of town?
It does. Corley Tract developer has already closed on the property. They're working on submitting a preliminary plat for their first phase. They start construction on first phase that this line is in the ground.
In the ground, okay. So their funding is coming in alongside our funding?
And the cost for this, the overall cost for this project, 1.6, 1.7 million. So the city is responsible for 75% of it, and that falls within the city's budget, budgeted amount of 1.5 million. On to the next project. This is the Kojak Circle manhole and sewer upgrade. This project will upgrade about 1,200 linear feet of 6-inch sewer main between the manhole on Kojak Circle and the bottom of the hill lift station, which is a plant. have flows from the Arbors, Setterfield, Noliase, and Kojak Circle coming in, and all funneling through this line and often causing high levels in the manhole. Under the utility service agreement with the Corley Tract developer, the developer is responsible for design and construction of this project, completely at their cost. Timeframe for completion is before obligation for units. Before they can actually tie on any new connections to this line, they have to make sure that this
Time frame for that? Rough?
plat and final plat and infrastructure installation for phase one before they can start pulling permits and developing phase one, but sometime in that time frame, they'll have to complete this project.
Okay, so then,
Obligations for any of those units.
right, so during the interim, we're just gonna continue to service as needed.
And again, you can see the total estimated cost was listed at 0, and that's because this is the responsibility, financial responsibility of the developer.
Grant, what is the total cost? Do we happen to know? Is
when-
it shared with us if they're paying for everything? I mean, I'm assuming it is.
Yeah, when the city was planning to execute this CIP project, we were estimating it at 1,000. Might be able to do a little cheaper, private side, but. Moving on to the install sewer line and decommission Falls Lift Station. This project will install approximately 1,700 linear feet of gravity main to replace the sewer lift station. That lift station's in poor condition and requires the e-pump deployment whenever parts fail. During past storm events, we've had electrical components and fencing damage. Quite a bit of water that comes down that area, often makes the lift station. We've budgeted design for this fiscal year and are planning to year. We do have a fee proposal from a process of negotiating that. Once we come to an agreed amount, we should be taking that.
And do they plan on open cutting the golf course or boring, you know?
And sections where it's too deep to open. Combination of the two.
Hazard, if someone's playing golf.
Sure, I'll hit it.
What's the line size again on this?
No further questions, and I'll turn it over to Steve, our Assistant Director of Public Works, to talk about expanding Plant 5 ground storage.
Good morning, this is Stephen Freed, Assistant Director of Public Works. So for just a quick recap of the Plant 5 expansion, this project adds a 500,000 gallon ground storage tank to Water Plant 5 to improve system reliability and resiliency. Our existing tank on the Plant 5 site is a 125,000 gallon tank, which turns over multiple times a day during peak summer demand. So this project adds additional storage needed, supporting zones A and B. Construction was awarded in December of 2024. To date, the foundation has been completed, and on-site work is expected to resume in April. Currently, they're working in South Dakota assembling sections of the tank. The total estimated cost of this project is $1,550,299. If no one has any questions, I believe the next project is Kelsey's.
Good morning. My name is Kelsey. I'm the project manager for the City of Fair Oaks Ranch. Today I'll be talking about the wastewater treatment plant expansion. The expansion is broken down into two phases. Phase 1 is to address the immediate needs of the facility, and Phase 2 is for the future needs. Phase 1 design was complete back in November. This includes effluent pump station and conveyance upgrades, bottom of the hill lift station improvements, and a bid alt for odor control improvements. This project was awarded at council at the last city council meeting, which was March 5th, to include odor control improvements. Construction costs did come in higher than anticipated, but with a revised wastewater debt service fee structure, the impact to the customer is minimal. Right now, it's estimated that the increase for the projected debt service fee will go from $16.91 for FY 25-26 to $17.36 for FY 26-27, so roughly 40 cents. Next steps for this project is to hold a pre-construction meeting, which is scheduled for next week. After that, we expect crews to actually break ground at the wastewater treatment plant in the April-May timeframe. Construction is expected at about a year with a spring 2027 completion date. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them here.
How much were the cost overruns?
So for construction, we had it was 1.56 million is what the construction cost came in over our budgeted amount. Mhm.
All right, I think that summarizes all the impact fee capital projects. Amanda, do you want to update us on the land use assumptions charts?
Yes, good morning, Amanda Wade, Administrative Assistant for Public Works. I'll be going through our LUA summary from August 1st, 2025 through January 31st of 2026. Our projected versus actual connections for water, our 10-year projected connections is 3,968. As of January 31st, we are at 3,315. For wastewater, our 10-year projected connections is 2,402, and as of January 31st, we are at 2,036. Our LUA adjustments, we had 5 residential water connections, 0 wastewater connections, 1 commercial water connection, 12 lots improved, including saws, 4 water impact fees paid for a little over $34,000, and 0 wastewater impact fees paid. Upcoming developments, we have Post Oak with 260 water connections, 0 wastewater connections, Oak Bend Estates with 110 water connections and 0 wastewater connections, and the Corley Tract with 139 water connections and 137 wastewater connections. On page 23, you'll see the graph that shows where our water and wastewater projected connections are and where we're currently at. On page 24, you'll notice our water impact fees for the past 12 months, how many have been paid each month, and wastewater impact fees that have been paid in the last 12 months.
Amanda, on the 10-year projections here, are these the adjusted ones we talked about maybe a year or so ago by lowering those to build out?
Yes. Mhm. On page 25, it shows our water connections each year for the past 10 years. On average, for water connections, we're averaging about 56 connections per year, with our highest year being in 2015, and now our lowest year being in 2025 with only 15 water connections. And then so far for 26, we do have 2 water connections. And on page 26, It shows the same thing for our wastewater connections over the past 10 years, with our average wastewater connection being about 42, with our highest years being 2015 and 2016, and our lowest year being 2025 with 0 wastewater connections. And there's been nothing so far for 2026.
Anyway.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Amanda, quick question.
Yes.
So the upcoming gives us, I think, 509 water connections, 137 waste, which take us up to 36, at least what's on the docket for now. What's the timing of that? How far out would that be expected to? I understand it's based on development and all those, but I mean, what's a reasonable estimate?
Right.
5 years, is that?
To be honest, I'm not 100% sure. Maybe Grant can answer this question a little bit better than I can as far as development. I do know, like we have Post Oak, Oak Bend, and Corley coming, and then we have, a few more parcels throughout the city that are not developed, and nothing's come through for development of those parcels. But maybe Grant would have a little bit more insight.
Asking about the time frame for these known developments, when they're
Yeah.
going to build out.
I understand there's economics and everything and, but reasonably, is a 5-year window, or is it more like a 10-year?
If you look at, it's 50, there's 500 lots, give or take, on those 3 communities.
Yep.
We're averaging, over the last post-COVID, sub 40 home sales per year. So would be almost 10 years of lots on that ratio. It's probably less than that. Builders aren't gonna hold on for lots that long. But, I would say no shorter than 4 or 5 years, most likely. I mean, there haven't even, I think one community has broke ground, maybe 2 have broke ground, but they're still at least 12 months from the first toilet flushing, so.
Oak Bend Estates is the only one that's broken ground so far. But just talking with the Post Oak development developer, they're planning 4 phases over 5 years.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean those homes get sold in those 5 years.
I would say there's no way you'd sell all those lots in 5 years, but it probably isn't more than 10.
So it's reasonable that within 10 years, we would be at those numbers coming online.
Yeah, and then I was gonna just kind of point out to the community, that's 500. If they all came over the next 10 years, we still wouldn't be at our 10-year projections on the stuff that Amanda presented to us. So just to give you like a rough sense of scale, I mean,
Yep.
only one of those has sewer, the other 2 are just water, and our water projection growth still has another 680 connections, and this would only be 500 if they all built out and built homes and paid impact fees to get there.
Okay, thank you.
Down to section 13 of today's agenda about the consideration and discussion items. I did want to ask the committee here. I know we've done, a lot of us have been on this committee for several years, and find it helpful to get all of these updates. We tried to shorten some of the items just to impact the agenda items, and then I also made a suggestion to staff to keep in these land use assumptions. I know we go over them every time, but I think it's beneficial for us to just continue to see our growth projections. I know that's how staff plans and stuff. Any input from the committee as far as things you'd like to see, things that aren't beneficial, things that you'd want to change, or if what we've been doing is still good information for you guys to see every 6 months? Yeah.
Yes, good the way it is.
I like it, I like it.
The only other thing I guess I would add is I know that some of the strategic planning stuff that came up was long-term water needs. I guess if we can get a grasp of when those water needs are going to be attained by the city, because that's obviously going to.
That's the water rights, you're talking about the obtaining water rights?
Correct. That's going to throw a wrench into the future project back fees and costs, because those costs are going to end up rolling downhill to the developers.
We wanted to add that to maybe next, as an agenda item to bring up as far as, I know, Amy, you talked about some of that obtaining water rights at our last meeting.
Not at this time. What I can probably do is, staff did a presentation to City Council, maybe it was about where we're talking about the GBRA Water Secure project and how much water we'll eventually need as the city builds out, kind of our demand and supply projections. I can bring that back.
Fill these things, man.
You gotta fill those things. But what I can do is kind of bring that presentation back and maybe share it with the CIAs.
Okay. Then I guess we'll go on item 13. This is for our semi-annual report to council, which I'll be presenting on April 16th. If there's any committee members planning on attending, please let Amanda know so that we can avoid having a quorum there if possible. Any recommendations from the committee I need to present at our meeting. Going back, we did update our impact fees but about 12 months ago, so there's really not a whole lot of action to take on the impact fee, which is our main goal of this committee. If any other things you'd like to present, I'll be more than happy to talk to council next month. Hearing none, I'll let them know that the status quo is good for from our committee next month. Amanda, no, excuse me. Amanda, did we have on the overview you wanted to talk about as far as our
Yeah.
committee?
So we have a few designations for some of our members who have to fill or we designate you all as a member of the building industry, the development industry, or real estate. And I don't have it in front of me, but we only have 5 of you all designated in that way. And I think Mr. Prasadic had told me that he falls under real estate. Is that still correct, Mr. Prasadic? Okay, so then I just wanted to solidify that.
Okay.
And we can maybe put that in the semi-annual report and officially designate him as one of the members that sort of ticks that
Checks that
checkbox.
box.
Yeah, and just wanted to make sure with everybody else here, whether there was anyone else that needed one of those designations.
Gotcha. Anyone else that doesn't have a designation next to their name with real estate, builder, and/or development, want to add that to the list I present next month? No?
Where do you find that?
I can, and I can probably tell you off the top of my head too.
So no, Harold, myself, Joe are all listed as real estate professionals. Marcus, John, Kyle, you guys are development, and those are our now 6 designations on our committee.
Correct. Yeah, so we have 6. We only need 5,
Yeah.
but I think everybody who needed their designation has it. I'll send out a list, Mr. Arevalo, so that you can have, so you can see who it is. But you, Kyle, and who else did we say was under development? Marcus.
Marcus.
Yeah, and then now with Mr. Prasadic, we've got Harold, Chris, and Joe DeCola, who are real estate.
Okay. All right. Well, I will draft up the only real thing for us to update council will be that we agree with the land use assumptions and the current impact fees that are in place, so there'll be no real recommendations for council. Other than that, I think we just need to confirm next meeting in September. We have it right now, the September 15th at 9 a.m. here. If anyone has any major conflicts, do we know of any scheduling conflicts at this time?
Not at this time, no.
That's fine. Any issues with the September 15th date? Hearing none, we'll keep it that. This concludes the items on our agenda. Seeing no further business, this meeting is adjourned at 9:41 a.m. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, everyone.